Hello and welcome to another breakout session. And before we get started, as usual, I want to say hi to all the members of the Guitar League out there around the country that might be watching today. And I want to welcome Bart Marshall is here with us today. He's the president of the local chapter, the Phoenix chapter of Guitar League. So thanks for coming out today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, so today we're going to try to accomplish a couple things. One is you brought a couple guitars and you're going to talk to us a little bit about beginning guitars, affordable price guitars that a person could buy who's either starting to play guitar or who's restarting, like a lot of our members are getting back into it, but they don't have huge budgets. So we're going to try to talk about affordable guitars.
Yep.
And then we're going to ask you to do a little introduction to finger picking class. We're going to kind of break this up into probably 2 sessions today.
Yeah, because we try to do the breakout sessions in like 20 to 30 minutes a piece, and it might last a little longer.
Right. So before we start all of that stuff, why don't you tell us about the Guitar League and how you got involved in it?
Be happy to. Well, actually, in my right hand here, I have a copy of an article that I read in the Acoustic Guitar Magazine. It's the edition was August of 2018, so pretty much 2 years ago, right? So inside this article, it talked about Guitar League, what it is, how it got started, and I encourage anyone that's interested. You can go to guitarleague.com, and right on the homepage you'll see this, and you can read it all yourself if you want to, or go to the Acoustic Guitar webpage and you can search it that way, but it'd probably be easier to just go to guitarleague.com. Anyway, this talks about the 3 people that originally started in Syracuse, New York. The 3 individuals that started Guitar League was Jim Horstman, Dick Ward, and Lauren Beringer. And Syracuse, New York is the founding mothership, let's call it. So this article gives contact information for Jim Horstman. So Jim, even though he was one of the founding members in Syracuse, he's since moved to Asheville, and they started a new chapter there as well. But I read the article, it gave me the contact information. I called Jim, and with his assistance and Dick Ward, his assistants, we basically got the Phoenix, Arizona Guitar League up and running within just a couple months. So we've actually been going now for almost 2 years. Unfortunately, the last 4 or 5 months, because of the COVID virus, we haven't been able to meet physically. But be that as it may, we've got a membership of about 35 people now in the Arizona chapter. Syracuse, New York, I think they're around 150, 160 participants or members. And we have other chapters all over the country. And you can again see all the chapters. If there's one in your neighborhood, go to guitarleague.com, and we've got all the chapters listed there. It's really a blast, but think about Guitar League as much as a club as anything else. So, and Dana, you know this because you come every month. I mean, when I'm not able to be there, Dana's the one that takes over. So it's really more of a partnership than anything else. But the way that it's set up, it's for anyone and everyone that's interested in guitars. We call it Guitar League. They came up with that name simply because after the baseball thought process of rookies, minors, and majors. So everyone's welcome. Rookies, if you're just beginning or you're just starting to learn guitar. Minors, maybe you know all the chords at the nut, but you don't know bar chords yet, or scales. And majors, maybe if you gig out on weekends or play professionally for a living. We've got a little bit of everybody that'll come. So in Arizona, we do it basically as a 2 to 3 hour event from 6 to 7 for the people that can get there if they're working and not retired, and they can get there by 6 o'clock or anytime before 7. That's an open jam time. That's open play. Sometimes we project chord charts on a PowerPoint screen and everybody will play along and just play the same songs. Sometimes people will break up into separate segments and just work on songs they've been working on together. Again, it's free time. From 7 until 8, we always have a professional presenter, someone that is either local to the market or maybe a professional musician that travels all over the country and just happened to be in Phoenix the weekend before playing music, concerts, and we'll talk them into coming and presenting for an hour at our Guitar League meeting. And they usually talk about anything that's specific to them, maybe how they got started, the kind of music they play, alternate tunings, could be anything, could even be their instrument, right? And what they do with their guitar to tweak it a certain way. We've actually even had a luthier come and be a presenter for an hour and talk about care and maintenance on the guitar. And it's a lot of fun. Everybody learns something every month. We only meet one night a month, and in Arizona it's the second Tuesday of the month. So back to the meeting format. The presenter, once he's entertained the group and talked about how he got where he got to, all of those things, then we do breakout sessions. Usually for the Arizona group, we have the presenter will continue on with what he was talking about, or maybe a completely different topic. Whoever wants to stay with the presenter can. And then at the same time, the room's big enough that we break out, we have a different leader, usually someone that's a member of Guitar League at our local chapter, and they present anything that their specialty is, for instance. So today Dana mentioned that we're eventually going to get to some finger picking, and that's because we did a survey and we wanted to see what the members wanted, and finger picking was kind of at the top of the list.
That was the number one thing on that list.
Yeah. But we also do, we've had instructors that do DADGAD tuning or drop D tuning or any kind of alternate tunings. And we get into, give me an example, Dana.
Well, we had a lady come all the way from the Netherlands to work with us.
Vanessa.
Yeah, and she was fabulous.
Yeah.
And we had professional guys come in. They show us their equipment too, and how they use it, how they do loops and pedals, and it's really an in-depth thing. It's things that you don't learn in most places at a guitar lesson.
Yeah.
It's the inside baseball kind of thing that we learn. And
a couple of the breakout sessions have been on the caged system,
right.
and that takes a little while to learn and pick up. So sometimes we go back and review what we did the month before.
Right. Yeah, so we've had every presenter we've ever had. It's just been fabulous, and I've learned so much from them. I'm a member of this local chapter, by the way, and what I would tell you, the first meeting's free. First meeting's always free. And then it's a whole $75 a year to be a member, which is the best $75 I've ever spent in the way of guitar stuff. It's unbelievable to pick up all the information that I pick up. Plus the camaraderie of the people that you meet. We have members there that we have young people who just got started. We may have people that know 3 chords. I was talking to a gentleman one night who was a professor at a college for like 40 years teaching music and jazz and stuff like that. So everything in between. Yeah. And you can't help but learn something if you go there.
Yeah, it really is a lot of fun. And the other thing is, we'll talk about the camaraderie. There are members that do gig out, and they've invited other members to come and play with them now, or they get together in a garage, or they did before
right.
the COVID thing happened. It's kind of changed everything, but we hope to get back to normal by the end of the year.
Or if you do have a gig or you're out somewhere, they'll come and support you. There'll be a great audience for you and bring people to your gig. So it's just a great organization.
Yeah, and then talking about, again, we mentioned that there are chapters all across the United States. If by chance you're on vacation and you're in Asheville, North Carolina, and it just happens to be their time of the month that they're having a meeting, if you're a member in one of the Guitar League chapters, you're a member in all of them. So, you know, you get email updates on what's going on, when the next meeting is going to be, although in the Arizona group, like I mentioned, it's always the second Tuesday of the month. But you can also always go to the GuitarLeague.com website, and if there are any changes to the protocol or the meetings or a different presenter, then that's where we're going to have that mentioned, and you can drill into each chapter, and it's a real easy page to navigate.
And right now, where nobody's around the country is really able to meet much, we're doing Zoom meetings and Facebook kind of meetings. And so we attend meetings in Nashville and Syracuse and Boston and Dallas and all over the place. We're doing a lot of traveling without leaving the house, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, last month, the one for Dallas, the presenter was in Los Angeles. The chapter that presented that group for the group was in Texas, and people from all over the United States got to watch it. So there's value to that, but you do honestly miss the relationships. I mean, the internet's a great thing. It allows us to keep things moving along, keep people excited. But there's really nothing like being in a room with 30 or 40 other guitar players and you know, the camaraderie that you have and just the fun of playing. So we welcome anybody. Like Dana said, the first meeting's always free, and that's the case for every chapter. Now I will tell you, because you might be seeing this from other parts of the country, not Arizona, there are some chapters that might charge a little bit more than $75 a year. And I just throw that out there because it's all driven by the market. I've been able to negotiate a really good rate at the hotel, the Marriott Courtyard, that we meet at, and for the last 2 years, we've got a rate to where I can, you know, afford to get both of their conference rooms, pull the wall back, and have plenty of room for everybody, and it works out great. So we're keeping it at $75 a year. Just to let you know, it might be higher in other places, but it's going to be cheap no matter what. It's very inexpensive, and it's not created to try to make a lot of money. It just helps us cover the overhead.
Also, in this chapter, and you have a couple of sponsors.
I do.
That will benefit the members.
Yeah. So if you look behind me on the banner that we've got hanging up here, Guitar League at the top. So there's a local sponsor, Acoustic Vibes. It's on the east side of town in Tempe, and if you're a member of Guitar League all over the United States, if you buy a new guitar from Acoustic Vibes, you get a 10% off the price. Totally Guitar is another sponsor. That's a national website based out of San Jose area in California. Neil Hogan is the main teacher for Totally Guitars. And if you're a member, you just contact me after you set up an account with them. It doesn't cost anything to set up an account, and we can get you 1 month full access free to explore the site. And there are thousands of lessons on there. So anything you could imagine, there's already lessons, and they add more every single week.
So those things more than pay for your $75 membership fee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can get guitars relatively inexpensive, and you can spend a lot of money. But the truth of the matter is, if you get a 10% discount on a guitar that costs $2,000, you just save $200, and that pays your membership for almost 3 years.
Right.
So, pretty good deal.
Well, speaking of guitars that people can afford, we were going to talk about that a little bit. I know that Bart has even gone out with people that are interested in becoming a member but don't have any equipment, guitars. They've told Bart what their budget is, and Bart's actually gone with them to guitar stores like Guitar Center or something and shopped with them and helped them pick out the best guitar for their budget. So
yeah,
it's pretty nice.
I've actually helped. Let me explain that my day job, I travel a lot. So it's given me the opportunity to, like in an evening, for instance, if I've got a free evening and I'm in another part of the country, I go to guitar stores. That's what I do. Could be mom and pop stores, it could be Guitar Center, it could be Sam Ash, whatever. They can go anywhere. And because I'm so interested in guitars and helping people, sometimes their staff isn't, they don't have enough staff to take care of people, I guess. Might be a best politically correct way to say it. So I start asking questions. I mean, if they look like they're confused, and I've sold hundreds of guitars for guitar stores, not trying to sell the product necessarily, but trying to help the customer. And so there's a lot of things that you have to look at. And I'll grab a guitar and we'll.
Show us a couple of guitars that people, or that are affordable for people.
Yeah, so when you're looking at a guitar, or you're looking to get your first guitar, let's say, again, it depends on if you're an adult or if you're a 12-year-old, 10-year-old boy or girl, or whatever the case may be. You've got to get something that fits you. But besides the fit, and when I talk about fit, I'm not just talking about the body size, I'm talking about the neck size as well, the scale of the guitar, the size of the guitar. But you also, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they go buy a guitar is they buy something that's too hard to play. And when I say too hard to play, most of the time that means the action is too high. So the distance between the string and the fretboard, that's the action, okay, the height of the strings. And if you're trying to play a guitar and it's not set up correctly, the strings are too high, you're going to get so frustrated because your hands are going to hurt. After 5 minutes of playing, you're going to give it up before you even have a fair chance of learning how to play. Mm-hmm. So you have to take all of those things into account. And you've really got to understand also the type of music that people want to play. Whether it's with a nylon string because they want to play Spanish music, or even nylon string guitars are really good for even folk music and country music. And Jason Mraz plays nylon string guitars a lot. So you can use them very versatile and really easy on your fingers because they push down so easily. The other thing that you really want to make sure and get a good handle on when you're buying a guitar are the tuners. You want to tune it in the store and move the tuners back and forth and make sure that they're not loose. Make sure that there's a nice resistance on the strings, because another thing that is very frustrating besides the height and how hard it is to press down on the strings is if you can't keep your guitar in tune and every song you have to retune it, it's so frustrating. So you need to buy a guitar that's going to stay in tune, that's going to be easy to play, that's going to keep you motivated to keep playing the guitar. Mm-hmm. So the first one I have here is that I'm going to talk about is a Taylor GS Mini. This one happens to be Koa. This is actually the second one that I own. The first one that I bought was a mahogany, and I liked it so well, and it actually belongs to my son now, but I liked it so well that I bought a Koa. Now, in my humble opinion, any guitar player, any and every guitar player ought to have one of these. No matter if you're a beginner or a seasoned veteran pro, because they travel so well. They stay in tune, they're fun to play, they're easy to play, the scale length is very friendly, comes with a really nice gig bag. You can travel very easily on a plane. You can carry these on a plane with you in the gig bag, set them up into the overhead. No airline is going to stop you from doing that, unless you're the last one on the plane and there's just not room. But that's up to you to work out those details. But these little GS Minis are really lightning in a box as far as I'm concerned. Now they come with electronics, like mine has the ES2 expression system in it, but they also come without electronics. So without electronics, you can pretty much get into one of these for less than $500. And it's going to be a guitar that will last for a long, long time, stay in tune, fun to play, easy to play, and they look really nice too. So, besides, I'm going to talk about another guitar that I don't have with me today. I don't have one here, but it's another Taylor. I am a fan of Taylors, but I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to push any brand on anyone. The main thing is to get something that you're going to enjoy playing that's easy to play. But the Academy Series Taylor guitar came out with last year. Pretty new to them, but they made the decision that they really wanted to create a guitar that was for the brand new player. So, without electronics, a full-size guitar, you can get it in a Dreadnought, which is a 10, or you can get a 12, which is a grand concert size. You can get it without electronics for less than $500. With electronics, about $649. But that guitar, everything about it is made to make it easy to start playing guitar and learn guitar. It has an armrest built into it. By armrest, I mean instead of a sharp edge here, it's tapered. And so whenever you're playing and your arm rests over the bout of the guitar, you got a nice slope. It doesn't make any creases on your arm. That's wonderful. The neck profile on the Academy Series is fantastic. Everything about that guitar is made for the beginner to make it easy to play, no frills, just a good quality guitar that's going to last a really long time. So those are the two Taylors that I wanted to talk about today. I'll grab another guitar.
So, and the problem with, if you don't look into things like this, I've seen so many people that buy guitars that have like ropes on them for strings, and the action is an inch off the, and they just give it up within a month or so, and those guitars just languish their way in the attic or something, and they think that they'll never be able to play a guitar. Well, they'll never be able to play that one.
Well, unfortunately, they set themselves up to fail.
Right, Eric Clapton couldn't play that guitar, So they need something that's very playable.
Yeah. And again, when you go to a guitar store in your local neighborhood, you just got to be the one that drives the conversation, because unfortunately sometimes you'll know more than the individual that's there to try to help you buy a guitar. So just keep in mind that you want to find something easy to play that fits you very well, and you can do that for not very much money. Now, you can also spend a lot of money, and we'll get into that probably not on today's broadcast, but the more you spend, you can get some really nice guitars. But I like to think that, if you can at least have a budget of $300 or $400, maybe $500, you're going to be able to get a really nice guitar. It's going to last you a really nice time, long time, and it's going to play great for a long time. And you might have to do a little setup on it. You might have to do a little adjustment to the neck, but again, a luthier can help with all that. This guitar that I'm going to show you now is a Yamaha, and it's actually what they call a red label Yamaha. It's mahogany on the back and sides, really nice neck profile, stays in tune, it's got electronics on it. Yamaha is a fantastic brand for starters to get into, and also for people that want to get a very good, affordable guitar that's going to last a long time. And I'm going to let Dana grab that Yamaha over there, and let's talk about that one for just a minute.
Okay, this is a much less expensive model. It's an older one too. This is like a 1999 Yamaha. This model happens to be a FG401, and it's probably not solid wood back and front. I think it probably has a spruce top.
Yeah.
But these are available, or similar models, for probably $300 or so, $350. I had a Yamaha a long time ago, a red label one, that you could compare to a Martin in its day. It was a Japanese-made one. But Yamaha just makes a whole bunch of different levels of guitars from very beginning, which is what this would be. But this would be very good for a beginner player. And like I said, you could probably find something like this for $300 to $400.
Yeah.
If you knew a little bit about what you're doing, there's a lot of bargains that you can find in the used market. But sometimes a brand new person shouldn't be out there in the used market because you don't know what you're getting. You know, if you have a little bit, if this may be your second or third guitar, or you used to play guitar and you're getting back into it, then you can maybe get out on the used market and find some really good bargains.
You know, the local Craigslist and the one sale ads, you can find some really good bargains out there.
Right.
I would recommend that if it's your first guitar, you're buying it for your son or daughter or something like that, if you go that route, you might be able to save a little bit of money, but it might cause you a lot of headaches. Unless you have a friend or get hold of somebody like myself that says, okay, I'll help you.
Right, somebody that knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some of the brand names are kind of important, and Taylor is definitely one of the brand names that are good, and they have the beginning entry-level guitars.
Right, exactly.
Martin has entry-level guitars now that are pretty good and really reasonable. They're made in Mexico, the entry-level ones, but they're solidly made and they've got deep sound in them. Yamaha is another brand.
I'd like to mention Breedlove as well. Breedlove has some really nice. Breedlove is based out of Bend, Oregon, and they're more expensive guitars called the Oregon series. And then they have Mastercraft and Masterclass series. They're made in Bend, Oregon, but they're less expensive guitars. Might be made overseas, but you can get them with electronics, with a tuner already built into them, for $400 and $500, and they're really nice guitars.
Here's another sleeper guitar. This is called a Seagull. So I don't know if you can see this. It's got a unique head. Most all the Seagulls have that type of head on them. This is a fabulous guitar that fell through the cracks that people don't talk about that much. This is solid wood. This is solid spruce. This is cherry in the back. It has a brand name electronics. These are made in Canada, and these are made up in Quebec, Canada. The whole town, I believe, there's a little town up there. The whole town is involved with making these guitars, and these are fabulous guitars. And you can buy these from $400 to $650 in that range, and you can find them used at a reasonable price. And these have a low action when you get them. The electronics is really good. They're just quality. They got a rich sound. This is electric and acoustic, but right now it's just not plugged in. But they're really rich sounding, and these are sleeper guitars, and they travel well.
Usually they come with, a lot of times, a cedar top.
Right.
But they also, if you look at the back of this guitar, you'll notice it's a satin finish.
Right.
The interesting thing about a satin finish is that it doesn't leave fingerprints nearly as much as a gloss finish. So, you know, if you have trouble keeping a guitar clean or you don't want the fingerprints, sometimes you can get satin all over the whole thing, and then it doesn't show arm sweat and fingerprints quite as much. But
this is a fabulous guitar that not a lot of people have talked about, Seagull.
Yeah.
And there's a whole genre of people that buy these guitars. They just love them.
Yep.
They got a lot of different models. They got parlor size. This is the S6 model with the electronics in it, and I love it. And I bought it used, and it's like they gave it away.
Yeah.
You know, but it's fabulous.
Well, one of the things, let me see it just a second before you put it away. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet, folks, is that if you look at the base of the deck, usually inside, there's a truss rod that goes underneath the fretboard on the neck. So if there's any problem with the pitch of the neck, because over time it's pulled, there's a lot of tension on a 6 and especially a 12-string guitar. Once you tighten the strings to pitch, that's a lot of tension pulling on that neck. So a truss rod will allow you to adjust that tension. And that way, when you're looking down the profile of the neck, a luthier can tell you if the action needs to be adjusted, and they can do it. If you're new to guitar, don't adjust the truss rod until after you've been shown how to do it a couple of times.
Right. The other thing, just real briefly for newbies, there's different gauges of strings, and you know, I still use the lightest acoustic strings pretty much that you can buy. Now you lose a little of the tone,
Little volume.
yeah, little volume, and they're not so deep. They might be a little tinier, but they're a lot easier on your fingers.
Yeah.
I have 10s on here. Bart probably plays 12s or
12s.
more.
12s.
You know, so you got 10s, 11, 12s. You can go higher than that if you can grip them. But so that's another thing for a new person to think about is the string gauge that they use.
And just so you know, like electric guitar players, they typically use 10s or 11s, and they're slinkier. The strings will stretch more. So if you're doing bends and vibratos with an electric guitar, those 10s and 11 strings really allow you to bend farther up to pitch. You can go 2 or 3 frets at a time on a bend. And
Speaking of electric guitars, when in the Guitar League meetings, because we have them in a hotel, we're kind of required to bring acoustic guitars, because if you have 50 people in a room with amplifiers and electric guitars all plugged in, you know, blow the walls out of the hotel. So they asked that we do things acoustically. So we do.
Yeah.
However, if you only had an electric guitar, there's a great little gadget here.
This is called a Strum Buddy. So this is the Strum Buddy. It comes with it's got a suction cup on it. Now I want you to hear, so an electric guitar doesn't have a lot of volume. So if all you have is an electric guitar, but you want to come to Guitar League, we want you to be there. We just can't plug you into all the amplifiers like Dana mentioned. So what we do, I always carry one of these with me. So if someone shows up the first time and doesn't know any better, well, we can hook them up. But we put this suction cup on the guitar, plug it in, and then we have an electric guitar that's no louder than an acoustic guitar. And these actually, if you just have one to practice with at home with your electric guitar, you can get into some crunch and
You know, it's not a Fender Twin,
No.
but it gets the job done, you know, so that you can hear yourself, you
Yeah.
know, and the neighbors aren't complaining.
so yeah, it allows people to bring an electric guitar and play that until such time that they buy an acoustic or keep
Or
coming
not.
with an electric and
Right.
bring.
We have people
Get
come
their
with
own.
electric guitars
Yep.
and using that,
Yep.
and they're happy.
Yeah, and it's fun, and they're a part of the group that way. And I mean, I've actually, with our members, I've even loaned people acoustic guitars because they came and didn't have a guitar, and I'll
You're
loan them
just
for a
too
month
nice.
or two.
You're just too nice. You gotta stop that stuff.
I just want people to have fun. So anyway, electric guitars are welcome. We just have to modify them slightly.
Right. So that's basically a good idea about what guitars they can buy, what brands
Yeah.
they can look for, and the price
Absolutely.
ranges.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna do, you're gonna do a little finger picking demonstration for us, or class introduction
Yeah,
to finger picking.
yeah, we'll do that when we come back.
Yeah,
for the
so
next video.
we're gonna take a little break and get some cameras changed around so we can get his hands in there. And so we'll see you in the next video.
See you soon.